Okay, that's the easy bit done. Now we've got the awkward bit. Job done. Hi guys, as you probably know if you've been watching carefully, last time I flew this happened.
Panic, timer stop, hold mode. Panic, timer stop, hold mode.
Fuck's sake. 2 crashes in one session, not bad. First one I could carry on flying, second one not so much. So let's get out and see if we can put it back together. Okay, so a bit of damage inspection again in case you didn't watch the last one, and just to double check for myself. So I snapped a skid around here, but there's no point in replacing it. Just put a bit of glue on it. Perfectly fine, doesn't need that to fly anyway. Tail, obviously, let's see how clear we can get it. It was bent, it was kind of twisted right around like this. I just twisted it back and it carried on flying. I will replace that. I've got one of these. It is a carbon fibre tail, slightly lighter, it's even cheaper. Don't know if it's stronger or not. Let's have a little look at this. Nice micro heli carbon fibre tail. So we'll get that on in a minute. Canopy right here, this is properly cracked, smashed up again. Is it that important? Not really. Saved 20-25 quid. I put a bit of duct tape and super glue in there. And the main thing, the rotor head. As you can see, it's snapped just there. That quite clearly needs replacing. That's not going to fly, so I'll replace that with one of these, the standard stock rotor head, a few links and screws in there as well. So I'll bang that on and hopefully it'll fly. Let's have a quick look around at all the other bits and pieces, see if it looks okay. The blades are surprisingly indestructible and invincible. Somebody once said online these shatter like glass on crash. I don't know what he was smoking, because these have gone full speed into walls, the ground and all kinds of stuff. These actual blades, and they're perfectly fine, barely more than a scratch on them, so that's pretty impressive there. Everything else, servos, they've seen them working. They still seem perfectly tight and everything from when I've rebuilt it. Main thing, thank God, the actual frame isn't snapped or anything, because that'd been utter ball ache to completely replace that like I did before. Let's have a look over here. The actual gear looks fine. Not that you can see too clearly on there. The odd scratch, but there's nothing there to worry about. What I did was look through this magnifying glass with the attached light to get a nice close look at the main gear. Looks a lot better in real life, and spin it all the way around to see if there's any damaged teeth missing, anything blocking the way. I've had bits of plastic in the gaps before, but that's okay. It's not perfect, but it looks good enough to fly. So I'll leave that there. I'm sure I'll crash again soon and I'll just have to replace it again. Okay, first step, take off the blades. We'll need them, they'll come in useful next time. So carefully start doing these. Keep this nut and bolt there. That can go there. That can go there. Tiny little baby Allen key. There we go. You can go there for safekeeping. That can go there. That can go there. Safe for later. Now we just need to get this bad boy off. Okay, so let's pop off this link here. Always more awkward than it looks. There we go. Got some of them in the new packet, but we'll keep that one safe. Now I'm pretty sure it's just a case of undoing this Allen key in there on the main shaft. Turn, turn, turn. Comes up nicely. There we go. Okay, the Allen key's out. Let's see if it will just pop off. Pop, pop, pop. Ah, there we go. One naked main shaft. Getting quite a collection of old rotor head assemblies now. Have to find something useful to do with them. Alright, let's open the new one. Ta-da! That's more like it. It's got everything it needs to have. And we have a nice little packet of some screws and links. That's what we want. 2 for the blades, 1 for the actual head connected to the shaft, and a couple of links. Okay, we'll get the new screw out. Ta-da! A new head. Bring it over. Let's see if we can line up the hole. If you look closely, look closer, look closer. There's a hole in there. Okay, now all you have to do is take your shaft, take your long shaft, and fit it into the tight hole here. You can see the hole on the inside there. Let's have a look. Give it a close up. Just about to see a hole there. Line up with the hole on the rotor head, and then try and squeeze it on. There we go, getting close. Line up the holes. So I've eventually got the rotor head on properly, lined up and confirmed by sticking the Allen key all the way through. Can now take the Allen key out. Then I just have to stick the screw in. Now I just have to take the screw, put that back through. There we go. Lines up nicely. New head is on. So if you need to do this yourself, basically take off the blades, take out that screw, take off the head, put the new head on, put the screw back in, job done. Okay, that's the easy bit done. Now we've got the awkward bit, is replacing the tail boom. It'll be better in the end, it's worth it. Carbon fibre, slightly lighter, may even fly slightly better, who knows. Now we've got to take these 3 screws out, that's the awkward bit. But we'll start off by removing these wires, of course, we'll disconnect those. 3 tail wires disconnected. Next we've got to take out these 4 screws in here. See if it's any clearer to the magnifying glass. Not really. But you'll know where they are if you have to do it yourself. 4 screws in there. Well, it wasn't as painful as I expected. All 4 screws are out. Now, you have to pry open the frame and pull the boom out. Like this. There we go. Watch out for the servo wires. And there we have the main bit separated from the tail boom. As you can see, there's this little gap at the end. I'll try and get it under the light a bit more. So you've got this gap here, which the 3 wires go through, obviously. Same thing at the other end. I'll take that off in a second and show you. Get a nice new one on. Take this motor off, like this. Stick the little Allen key in there. Give that a turn. Sounds like it's snapping, but it's okay, don't worry. Tiny little nuts. Give this a wiggle. Now we want to feed all these wires through as well, which can be awkward here, especially when the gap is kind of compressed. So I'll use this to try and open it up a bit. Feed them in. I have to kind of stagger them slightly. Get one through, then another one, for example. Go on, go through. Give it a little bit of encouragement, give it a little nudge. Carefully give it a pull, and there we go. Ooh. Now let's see if it still looks okay. Give it a little check out. 3 wires, as it's brushless, of course. They all look okay. Now what you've got to remember if you're changing the tail boom is it doesn't go both ways around. I mean, it can't go either way around. The gap on the end is slightly different on one end. Don't know if you can see that. That's about 1 centimetre, and this end it's about ½ centimetre maybe. The one of the bigger gap is the one that goes in the heli, and the one with the smaller gap is the one the tail rotor goes on. So the trick is to feed the wires through. Get this crap out of the way. to feed the wires through in a staggered way again, kind of one at a time. Something like this, if you can, and without trying to break the wires, trying to not break the wires, however you say it. Okay. Sooner or later they'll pop out the other end, hopefully, if they haven't got lost in some weird kind of fourth dimension. Right, black one is starting to curl up. I can sense it's getting near. Oh, they're starting to come through. Probably can't quite see that. There we go. Once they're through, it's obviously far easier to pull them from here. But you've got to make sure it still slots in here nicely. There we go. See, there's a kind of rougher bit here. That's all gone now because that slots in there well. Micro heli is up the right way. Lines up there. All three of the wires are out. That's good. So now we just need to stick this little screw back in. There's nowhere that actually slots into the boom. It's just a pressure type thing. Right, that's getting tight. We don't need to overdo it really. In case you need to give it some final adjustments later. Now, the really awkward bit to get it back in. And I'll show you why it's awkward. Because inside here, I'll have to show a photo maybe. See, we need to pry apart the frame. But down inside, just above the servo motors, there's a little gap. And we need to get the cables in through there, which is back a bit. Okay, so tail boom slides into this hole here. Now I need to pry apart the frame, push through all the wires until they're in that hole. It's not going to look very good on camera. Ah, there we go. Wow, that was surprisingly easy, actually. Quick look through the magnifying glass. And now the most difficult bit, getting the screws back in and getting them tight. Now with the accuracy of a surgeon, I've got all 4 screws in at last. I'll show you a bit of photo. That's pretty much it. Just chuck the servo wires back in quickly. Very fiddly. Need smaller fingers. There we go. Right, tail motor wires back in. Red to red. Surprisingly enough. Blue to blue. Don't tell me they don't reach. I'm just being clumsy. And black to black. There we go. Tidy enough. That is pretty much it. Stick on the links quickly. There we go, all connected up. Now, what do you think of the boom? Do you think it looks better? Tell me in the comments. Okay, we'll just give the rotor head a quick test.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Quickly double check the tail rotor.
Time of stop. Time of stop. Time of stop.
So I hope you found that useful or interesting at least. Next, I'm planning on doing the 3rd part in the series of Learn to Fly Collector Pitch Radio Control Helicopters. I'll be doing a nice video on turning, so if you're interested in the lessons, stay tuned for that. Cheers.